Welcome to the Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium, where we have the next edition of the exciting Southern Derby between rivals Charlotte Independence and the Charleston Battery. Hello everyone, Ari Shannock alongside former German League player Devin Kerr. And Devin, the Jacks return home after a 4-match road trip, finishing a strong 2-1-1 after a Wednesday night draw at Atlanta. And they're looking to avenge a 2-0 defeat at the hands of the Battery that was in Charleston back on May 5th. The Independents come in as a very hot team. Good start, and they stand in third place at the moment.
Mike Jeffries and his squad did such a good job on the road, like you said, Ari, grabbing 7 out of 12 points, and that was good, but they need to take advantage of that 2 out of 3 at home now, continue the momentum in, because after that, they have to go back out on the road 4 out of 5 against the likes of Bethlehem Steel, Indy 11, Cincinnati, and Louisville. So they want to make sure that they can continue this all the way through. For Charleston Battery, they need to figure out what they're going to do, because even though they've lost that undefeated streak, they also lost in the U.S. Open Cup. So they're actually winless in their last 5, trying to get back on track a little bit. The good news is they've got one of the best scorers in the USL to be able to help get them there.
And Patula Guerra, he will help. He had one of the goals in that May 5th victory against Charlotte.
A good thing for him that he's back. You know, back versus Richmond, just the last game, they look lethargic, they look lost, they didn't know what they were doing, went down 2-0, and this guy can give you everything. And doing the scouting report during the week, Jeffrey's telling us that, look, we want to shut him down, but unfortunately, it's not just Atula Guerra. They've got Gordon Wild, Higashi are there. So the good thing for them is that he's in good form, but for the Charleston Battery, he can't be the only one. When he steps out, someone has to step into that role and help him out, especially when they play the transition game like the Battery like to do.
Yeah, second in the league in goals with 7. An explosive player of their own on the Charlotte side in Cordell Cato.
He's been someone who's been consistently scoring and putting things in the back of the net for them. And, you know, they've made some acquisitions in the offseason, he being one of them. But again, kind of similar to the Guerra situation, he needs a little more help as well. A lot of times they'll use him on the right, they use him on the left as well, but they push him, they get isolated a lot. You'll see balls down into the channel, just like that. Joel Johnson, the overlapping run, good ball in, and he can use that speed. But he needs Jorge Herrera to step in. He needs Eamon Zayed to step in and help out as well. And again, if they can combine on a regular basis, you're looking at a squad that can make a push in the Eastern Conference.
I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
A beautiful night for the Battle of the Carolinas here at the Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium. Beautiful little stadium Jack's Militia is here along with QC Royals and Slogic Army. Hey, look, Enzo Martinez is here, Devin. Former Independent star retiring his jersey.
And they were blowing up Twitter with his appearance here this evening. Obviously doing a good job stepping over, getting an opportunity with Major League Soccer squad, Colorado Rapids. But you take a look at what the Independents are going to have to do without Enzo this evening and going against the Charleston Battery. And for me, it's the two wild cards that are going to affect the game the most, at least from a defensive standpoint. Keep an eye on Angelo Kelly and Woodbine O'Brien on the right-hand side. Those are the two guys. Between them, they only have 79 minutes total. And this is actually Angelo Kelly's first start this year. So the two of them, not a lot of experience, but everything else is pretty much business as usual for Charleston Battery. Hackshaw on left, Mueller in the middle. And of course, everybody going forward just needs to combine. When you step over to the Charlotte Independents, Donnie Smith coming back in injury. We saw him on the bench last week. They lost him mid-season, only his fourth appearance this year. He likes to get involved, plays a central role sometimes, but Mike Jeffries telling us likes to utilize him on the left a little bit more. And keep an eye on the overlapping run there as Joel Johnson. And again, Alex Martinez does a good job moving forward and controlling the pace of the game. But again, he's got to do more offensively. He's got to get in the back of the net to help these guys out up top.
And maybe a little bit more inspired here tonight with his brother Enzo in attendance. As you see the Independents on the field huddling up. Charleston Battery are coached by Mike Anhauser, who guided the Battery to USL Championship both in 2010 and 2012. He played 6 seasons as a midfielder for the Battery, ranked 7th all-time in games played, 115, and 2nd all-time in assists with 17. Charlotte Independents coached by Mike Jeffries. He was the first coach in Independents history. Devin, hired back in 2014, was the 2014 PDL Coach of the Year at Des Moines. Played in the MLS U.S. National Team, NCAA Player of the Year at Duke, Herman Trophy Award winner back in 1983.
Two legends of the game and just excellent representations of what you could ever want at the coaching level. And if you just follow their careers from youngsters all the way through playing and now into coaching, they've done a good job representing themselves both personally and professionally at the highest level possible. And it's nice to see it translate into the, we'll call it the youth of what we see in United States soccer, and some of these guys just trickling through the system.
The Battery, first possession here in Charlotte. Well, there was a seating expansion here at the Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium, and that will allow the Independents to break that regular season attendance record. They're expecting a crowd of over 3,000 here tonight with the expanded seating. Great sign for this franchise. Van Schaik working with Higashi. Defended there by the Jacks. And the throw in for Jared Van Schaik, who's out of Portland, Oregon. A couple of assists this year. Captain of the Battery back in 2015. Hackshaw, 6-footer out of Trinidad and Tobago. 5 caps with the national team. Solid performer, Devin.
He does a good job getting up and down that left-hand side, and that's something that the Battery, they like to use. But if you're gonna, we'll say, stereotype what they're gonna do offensively, to me they're a little bit too predictable because they need to get the guys on the other side of the pitch up a little bit further. You need Woodbine, who's stepping in tonight, to combine with Skylar Thomas and allow him to move forward. I mean, you know Neville Hackshaw is going to step up, and he's going to do it regularly, but you don't want to telegraph that because that's going to close down the attack and give the opponents an opportunity to step in and knock it down.
Here's Hackshaw down the left sideline. Ball on the left foot. Lead pass into the side of the box. A cross and a save there made by Dykstra. A good chance created there by Charleston. Charlotte, their first possession here across midfield. There's the run ahead for Delgado in the corner. Checked by Hackshaw. Johnson on the cut into the box. Good feed. His service is blocked and cleared out of there by Mueller. He's 70 clearances on the season, Devin. along with 12 blocks. Taylor Mueller, the Iron Man, second season with the Battery, played every minute of every USL match last season.
That's why you've been able to see him move up there kind of all-time ranks as he sits 5th in appearances at 154 right now. And Taylor does a good job anchoring the back line. Again, when you deal in that 3-4-3, going in transition is a big thing for them. And so being able to be organized coming back is very difficult to do. You need someone who's mentally strong, as well as physically capable of handling that role. Taylor does a really good job.
Yeah, he was US All-League second team last season. Joel Johnson to throw it in, 5'11" player out of Spain. Leads the Independents with 5 blocks of his own defensively. In the middle, Cato, nice left-footed pass. Fosser had it taken in the corner. Tried to keep it in, did Zaid. Eamon, the 6'2" Libyan-born player out of Dublin, Ireland. A lot will be on his shoulders today. He's got 3 goals on the season without Herrera out there.
Independents acquired him in late March, but they had to wait a little while as they were expecting his visa to go through. Took a little bit longer than expected, and he's someone that Mike Jeffries said that they expect more out of him. Obviously, he's got a boatload of talent, but just hasn't really found his feet this year. Obviously trying to prove a little bit more as he was so drastically cut from the Indy 11 squad coming into this season. 26 goals over 59 appearances. You got to wonder what Martin Rennie was thinking when he retooled the squad this year, and Indy 11 made the jump to USL, but obviously he had his reasons. And again, he's acquired 3 goals, but he's someone who can be in great partnership and they can use in a bunch of different systems. You'll see Jeffries do that. He'll go with the 4-1-4-1 like we see here tonight. He'll switch over to a 4-4-2 or sometimes even a 4-2-3-1, but just needs to do a better job connecting with the likes of Cato, Fosser, Jan Ekra, and Jorge Herrera.
And Zaid had a goal Wednesday night at Atlanta off a Herrera corner kick. The lone goal for the Jacks. Good passing here. Hit ahead far side. Here come the Jacks. Ahead they run to Fosser. Tried to touch it over, but kicked out of there and cleared by the Battery. Van Schaik, the near sideline. His pass stolen by Johnson. Johnson on the attack into the final third. Cato guided off of that ball, and Independence throwing.
That's something that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Joel Johnson and his soccer IQ, recognizing that step that he had to make defensively. And I like actually what he did with the ball going forward. Everybody in the stadium, including Jared Van Schaik, thought he was going to touch that ball inside. Instead, he takes it in front of him, pushes it positively, and allows them to move down the field.
That was interception number 18 on the season for Johnson. Cato surveying. There's the cross, far post, headed up over the crossbar. Terrific attempt, and the crowd applauds it. There's Zaid up high with a header.
It's exactly what you want to see out of the Independents. Good overlapping play, good communication by Foster, stepping out of the middle of the pitch and moving that central role to the outside. We've seen time and time again, the Independents just losing a little bit of their luster when they move into the final third. They did a good job there.
Low liner, corner kick to the near post, headed out. Well defended by the Battery. Joe Kuzmutsky may have got a hand on that one and tapped it over the post. Devin, 6'4", tall frame, the goalie out of Denver in his second season out of UAB. Kuzminski has conceded 7 goals this season. Save success rate at 72% and 4 clean sheets. Dykstra on the other side conceded 16. 2 clean sheets on the season. He had 5 saves Wednesday night at Atlanta. Terrific performance by Dykstra, who's on loan from the Colorado Rapids. Played 2 seasons with the Chicago Fire in the MLS. Guerra, definitely a marked man with his 7 goals. There's a takeaway. Bilal Duckett in the mix, the captain, who has 99 duels won, 35 clearances, leads the Independents in both categories. In the 8th minute here at the beautiful Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium, the Southern Derby. Battery leads this Southern Derby all-time 7-2-2. But 8 of the 11, there's a kick on in and cleared out of danger nicely by the Jacks. 8 of the 11 matches in this Derby have decided either a draw or by 1 goal. Guerra being held, tugging the jersey from behind Devin.
2 extremely talented squads, and that's why you see the games that are so close, like you said, Ari. And unfortunately for Mike Jeffries and co, if they want to make this a challenge in an actual derby, they're going to have to get into that win column a few more times.
Yeah.
As you said, the Battery doing a good job getting out in front and holding those leads, but just a clash of 2 styles. And you can see already Jeffries employing a little bit different of a tactic, doing a good job pushing high, causing the Battery to try and play out of their defensive third. And that's going to be hard for them. Again, they like to go in transition and go with a quick attack. It's much harder to play out of the back when you're not used to doing it in that manner.
Dykstra, another 6'4" keeper out of Woodbridge, Virginia, and VCU. Kevon George at midfield. He's Trinidad and Tobago out of UCF. He's had a solid season for Coach Jeffries, 31 interceptions, 28 aerial duels won. He was the 29th overall pick back in the 2012 MLS Super Draft by the Columbus Crew. So another talented, good athlete for Coach Jeffries.
Kevon just, I wouldn't necessarily say trying to get his career back on track, but trying to progress up through the ranks, we'll say. He kind of bounced around a little bit after the draft by Columbus Crew and PDL, and then he spent a little bit of time with Jacksonville Armada. That's where his career started to blossom a little bit more. Mike Jeffries recognizing the talent that was available to him, and part of this roster retooling that they did in the offseason. A lot of familiar names, but a lot of big guys that are gone, and whether it was an opportunity going to another team or a chance to step up, maybe in a different league or elsewhere, definitely made some acquisitions. Wasn't really sure what that was going to come to fruition to, and telling us things have turned out a little bit differently than what he thought, but still happy with where they're at so far.
Yeah, he said they're not quite as clean and clinical as he would like this team to be, but certainly a solid start with all the new faces, 3rd place.
I thought it when he said that, and he went further and he said, I actually think we're better in transition this year than we were last. And if you go back and look at their ability to get forward rapidly last year with the likes of Enzo and Alex Martinez and obviously Jorge Herrera, they were very, very dangerous. Stumbled down the stretch and unfortunately lost their undefeated streak and transitioned into a 5th place finish, but still they carried such good capability, and to think Mike Jeffries thinks they're better now kind of shows you sky's the limit for this squad.
Yeah, he likes their quickness, their ability to counter. Here's Cato, he has a lot to do with it. Trying to lead Foster, the Swiss player who has a goal and assist this season.
Cato's going to figure out quite rapidly that Foster stepping out of the middle is going to need that ball to his feet, or if he's in space, it's going to be put in front of him away from Neville Hackshaw. Hackshaw carries a load of pace on that left-hand side of the pitch. That's why they like to use him so frequently going forward.
Yeah, Hackshaw, quite a presence on that left side. Here come the Battery. Good challenge by Jung-Soo Lee, and there is the foul called on Lee, as he sent Gordon Wild to the turf. Wild 3 goals this season, a couple of assists, and he has been a key piece for the Battery. A free kick, set pieces opportunity for the Battery here as we approach the 13th minute. Serve towards the far post, and will result in a goal kick.
Andrew Dykstra needs to do a little bit better of a job communication-wise as that ball floats to the back post. Started to step towards the ball and then came off of it. And you can see the trailing run of the Battery almost having a free go. Lucky to get a goal kick out of it, but Dykstra just needs to tighten things up.
Here come the Independents. Denied there at the side of the box. Alex Martinez trying to create an opportunity. George. And Johnson with space. Good crowd on hand here. The Battle of the Carolinas. Here's Duckett. Chips it into the corner for Johnson's run. Able to control it. The cross headed out, but tracked down by Cato. Battery very efficient down the counter. There's Guerra.
Here's a really good look from your camera angle. All the tactics going on in the field and how linear the Independents can be at times. You can see the flat four across the back, and then the midfield shifts a little bit. Kai Foster stepping up into that space a little bit right now, hence that 4-1-4-1. But don't be surprised in the middle of the park if you see that constantly evolving. Not only going forward and coming back, but in dead ball situations. Mike Jeffries likes to play checkers a little bit, move some things around, play around with the tactics. You do the same thing over and over again, you get a little bit too predictable. It's easier for the other team to figure out exactly what's going on.
Foster with a takeaway. And the Battery able to wrestle it back, but then the Jacks working hard. Javon Watson, the Jamaican player, played with the New England Revolution. Cato being tugged from behind, able to escape one defender, but then loses it. You can hear Jack's militia hooting it up in the corner. Good passing by the Battery, but unable to sneak it through as it's cleared away by Jung-Soo Lee. Cordell Cato has an assist, 9 key passes to go along with his 6 goals.
Fans getting on the action. Gerard Butler, 50 Cent, Pablo Schreiber, and O'Shea.
Cato played for both the Seattle Sounders and the San Jose Earthquakes.
Director of London Has Fallen. Don't miss the film critics are calling riveting. And congrats to fans in section 109.
Javon Watson looking for a seam. Not much available, Devin, against this Battery defense early.
And they've done a good job spatially, just keeping an eye on the overlapping runs by Joel Johnson. Kai Foster and co in the middle of the field, just trying to figure out, pick and choose their spots. We've seen Cato on the right side pretty active, but moving on to the left side of the pitch, you haven't really seen much from Alex Martinez, Javon Watson yet. Again, everything just kind of fluid in motion, opening 15, 20 minutes, everybody trying to find their bearings, but pretty soon, if you're the Independents, you need to make a little bit of a move.
Here's Javon and Lee surveying. Jung-Soo had a couple of huge goals back in the 2010 World Cup for South Korea. Cato couldn't connect. He was looking for Foster. Charlotte fans thought Higashi had gone out of bounds as he reverses it to the opposite side.
Hear exclusive stories directly from USL's players at USLsoccer.com. From the pitch with written and video content that provides unfiltered access in a first-person look.
Zaid giving chase. In the 18th minute, we are scoreless. Here, the Southern Derby. Chapter number 2 of this season of the Southern Derby. Higashi to his right. Leaves it back. Guerra pokes it through to Van Schaik. His cross and a shot just wide. Dykstra had that near side covered, it appeared. Devin, what a good opportunity there.
The build-up from the battery was extremely impressive. Started with that 35, 40-yard ball sprayed across the pitch, and it's a great touch inside. Guerra gets ready to unload and is really smart in the overlapping run, lays it off. Another good one into Wild, but keep an eye on that. The past 2 or 3 times you've seen those overlapping runs. The trailing run right at the top of the box for the battery has been open. So both offensively for the battery, recognizing that it's there, but also defensively for the Independents to tighten it up.
And be wary of Gordon Wild's left foot. 2 goals with a left foot this season out of 3. First team All-American back in 2016. And Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year at Maryland. He put up 38 goals in 56 games in his career at Maryland. So he can put it in the back of the net. Anunga. And here's Alex. Charlotte looking for spacing there. Bottled up a bit in the middle, and now able to move it forward with Watson. Like the red cleats of Watson. Devin?
I tended to fluctuate between the...
Ooh, good chance there. Just out of reach of the head of Zaid.
I used to float in out of the old school black and white, and then I had some white cleats towards the end of my career. Never really got into the color scheme thing.
Yeah, just black or white for you. You're definitely the best dressed person around here. That's no contest.
Appreciate that. Something I carried over from my playing days, right?
Joel Johnson with the orange cleats. A good battle here. A little collision in midfield, and there's the whistle. To the delight of the crowd as Anunga got a piece from behind.
Michael Anhauser likes to play the high press, but he does it in spurts, and you're seeing that from the battery. At times they're letting the Independents kind of methodically make their way back and forth across the pitch, and Anhauser doesn't really mind that because they're not really going anywhere. You see him shift left and right, and slowly as the Independents drift back a little bit, everybody from the battery starts to make their way up. The next thing you know, like we're seeing right now, they're pinned right at the top of the box. Stretches the game better for the battery, gives them a chance to go the other way.
Yeah, they've been very efficient with control of the field. There's Alex, his brother in attendance today. Enzo was his partner on the field here for the Independents for many years. And now with the Rapids. Great to see Enzo up at MLS.
The Independents definitely missing him this year, and that was a point of conversation, hot topic at the beginning of the year. What were they going to be without him? And Jeffries honestly just said, you know what, guys, with all due respect, we're a new team and we got to move on and find a different way. We can't really think about what happened in the past and just learn and then continue to move forward.
Watson through ball to Johnson, but Hackshaw is there and he rides him off. Well, he's such a physical presence. A good opportunity there as you look at Kuzminski. Joe in his second season out of UAB. An impressive 4 clean sheets already. See the crowd standing behind the goal. The expanded seating here at Sportsplex at Matthews. Also post-game fireworks tonight. And the first 2,500 fans received a free Novant Health cooling towel. Here come the battery. And a shot in is picked up easily by Dykstra. As O'Brien Woodbine sent it in.
Lots of frustration by Atula Guerra, who carried that trailing run I just referenced moments ago. He was sitting wide open right on the penalty mark.
In the box, Zaid, but the flag goes up. Amon just a little bit out in front there.
Amon questioning the call a little bit, but Unfortunately, buddy, you were about 2 steps, a little bit too far. Got to hold that run, flatten it a little bit, or bend back. It's a good ball movement by the Independents coming forward.
O'Brien Woodbine, 6-foot Jamaican. And Mueller. Moving forward, Manunga. These rivals know each other well as they fight for position in the East. Into the box, Guerra pokes it out. Watch out for the left foot. There it is, the strike, and just over the post. You saw the ability there of Gordon Wild. Dangerous.
German native thought it took a touch, a little deflection right over the top. Not too threatening for Andrew Dykstra, but you can see the battery doing a really good job in that interchanging play, causing frustration in and around the box for the Charlotte Independents.
There's Dykstra with the Jacks Militia at the top of your screen. One of the best fan groups around. USL, so many stellar fan groups, support groups.
And one of the fan groups, like a St. Louis and Phoenix Rising, they travel very good as well when they go on the road. And doesn't matter if it's 50 miles away or 500 miles away. They have no problem jumping on a plane, bus, train, automobile. You know that.
That's fantastic. Here's Guerra to his left. Can he get a shot off? What a move back to the. Look at the pass and a goal. Outstanding footwork by Guerra as he set up Higashi, who scores his first goal of the season.
Something that gets overlooked when you talk about Atula Guerra is his vision and unselfishness. It is put on full display right here. What a great representation of what he does for this squad going forward. Does a good job holding up play and then just takes a tiny little touch up, sees Higashi in the overlapping run, and it's smart by Higashi as well with the trailing runner, knows that Dykstra is going to be shifting over and able to pick out the 5-hole, and Battery, great team goal.
So Guerra with assist number 2. He had 19 key passes coming into the action. Kataro Higashi puts it in off of the beautiful setup from Guerra.
Charleston Battery goal. Goal scored in the 25th minute.
Higashi has an assist now, his first goal.
Higashi.
His expertise is passing, comes in with an 87% passing accuracy on the season. Such a steady player out of Japan. He was the Battery's Newcomer of the Year award last year. Second on the team in assists with 7, and played over 2,100 minutes last season for Charleston. And now, how do the Independents respond, Devin?
Tactically, they're going to have to shift around a little bit more. Number one, they just need to tighten up in the back a little bit. You can see the overlapping runs are causing frustration for them, but that's just a head on a swivel type deal where as one runner comes, you pass off and grab the trailing one. It's not that difficult to do. You can see them frustrated though. Just got to get a little bit better communication going. You know what's coming at you. Now just tailor your game plan.
And a free kick for Van Schaik about 40 yards out. Puts it in towards the far post, headed back into the middle. Kept into Van Schaik. Towards the far post, in the air, a header is captured by Dykstra. That was Skylar Thomas, 6'5". He is so dangerous up high, Devin.
You could see Ari, just after you asked me the question, Van Schaik knocks that ball across, and as Battery player on the back post, couldn't catch the number, heads it right back across the box. You've got one trailing, and 5 Independence players just standing in around. And then you take another step further, ball gets cleared out. Van Schaik is able to step up into that space. Kai Foster doesn't track the trailing runner, and it gives them a second opportunity. The first one shouldn't even have come across the goal, yet alone a second one pushed back into the mixer.
The Independents trying to create an opportunity in their final third, but have not possessed the ball for long in that area. Alex Martinez tried to turn it around Thomas. Skyler played at Syracuse. With his size, 6'5", 200-pound, he was the 11th pick in the 2015 MLS Super Draft by Toronto. You figure with the bun, he's 6'7", huh, Devin? You get 6'5", and then the bun up top adds another couple inches.
I know about that. I used to rock the man bun a couple years ago.
Yeah, that would make you what, about 6'4"?
I'm taller than that. I stand above that now, but it's hard. I have poor posture. I got to work on that, I guess.
Former German league player Devin Kern. 1-0 Battery on the goal by Higashi, set up off the gorgeous play from Guerra. Well, that move by Guerra earlier, Devin, to set that. That's something we could see in the World Cup, that type of skill.
Tula Guerra is such a good player for Trinidad and Tobago for so long, and you've seen that at the national level. Fortunately, they're going to miss out as well as the United States this year, but 4 years' time, maybe the boys can make it back around.
Yeah, he has 37 caps for the national team. Alex Martinez down with Wild. Wild gets up, favoring that left leg. Both players appear to be okay. A quick hydration break. In the 30th minute, Charlotte trails 1-0. Charlotte only beaten once here at the Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium this season. They are 4-3-1, 6-3-4 overall. The Battery 5-3-5 overall, 1-2-3 on the road. So they're hoping for their second victory of the season away from Charleston. The Battery in their 4th straight match away from home. They lost 2-0 to Richmond. That was the first USL defeat since March 31st, but second defeat in 4 days, as Devin had mentioned earlier, losing to Atlanta United 3-0 in the US Open Cup. They're on a 5-game winless run, also a 9-game undefeated streak.
That's something that Anheuser is going to want to get on top of right away, and they've done it so far, being in the road, getting out to this early lead, but they were absolutely outmanned and outclassed. Obviously dealing with a lot of players from Atlanta, that affiliation that they used to carry, and they went on the road to Richmond, and just another one that just couldn't get things going. And when you don't have a Tula Guerra in the lineup, you can't just rely on one player. And now we see it around the league, and I asked Mike Jeffries about this. You see it around the league. I said, if you lose Tula Guerra and Gordon Wild, are they relevant? And he said, Devin, to be fair, you lose your top 2 players in any team, you could make the argument that you wouldn't be relevant. And I politely disagreed with him. And I said, look, Mike, you know, I think that all of these squads possess the capability to move up the rankings, but the interchanging play that we've referenced that's been lackluster from Charlotte so far, the ability by the Battery to continue that going forward. We've seen players in the past for them go down, and they're able to continue that momentum. Unfortunately, the Independents can't say the same.
We saw the faithful of the Battery making the trip over from Charleston. About a 3-hour drive west. Independents looking to get their offense going here. They're the 3rd highest scoring offense in the league with 21 goals. 16 in the last 7 matches. And the combination of Herrera and Cato, the highest scoring teammates in the USL Eastern Conference, with 6 goals each, although Jorge getting a rest here, at least for the start of this one. The Jacks haven't been beaten in league play since the 2-0 loss to Charleston back on May 5th. Joel Johnson. The Jacks have had some success along this right side, Devin, with Johnson and Cato.
You can see that the Battery have recognized that, though, as they start to push down the right side. Neville Hackshaw has kind of moved down into the channel a little bit more to disallow the ability to have balls played down in for someone to run into, and Zayed has kind of moved over a little bit as well. But again, this is the thing that I talked about at the top of the broadcast, that it can't all just be overlapping runs by Joel Johnson. I know Donnie Smith is just coming back from injury, but Charlotte Independence over time have become a little bit, we'll say, archaic in their ways. They need better give and take from both sides of the squad. Otherwise, you just become way too predictable. The Battery have seen that in the opening 30 minutes, and they've punished them for it.
Well, speaking of Donnie Smith, here come the Battery. Van Schaik on the sprint. Lead pass broken up by Duckett. Big play by the captain. Bilal Duckett. He's a force on defense. 35 clearances, 99 duels won. We're talking about Donnie Smith. Nice little piece on the Independence website of Donnie's dog picking winners in the World Cup. You got to check that out. Donnie, local hometown hero. Played for Charlotte, brought them to the 2011 College Cup final. Unfortunately for the 49ers, they lost to rival North Carolina Tar Heels that year in the Cup. Watson was dropped from behind. Again, the physical Anunga out of Cameroon was there. Long ball controlled there nicely by Fossard. Fossard gets it back. Watson to the right side, Johnson. Johnson looking to serve it. Just over Zayed, his intended target. George able to keep it in. There's Donnie. The Battery able to deny.
That's an unnecessary ball from Alex Martinez. He's got Javon Watson sitting in the middle of the park. Instead, Martinez forces it in and allows the Battery to come out so efficiently like we're seeing. It's just the breakdown when they get into the final third of the field. They're not on the same page, and we've seen that for a few games now.
Guerra, far side, Hackshaw all by himself. Cato runs over to catch up. Look, Guerra is just such a presence out there, doesn't he? Just moves so easily, makes it look easy.
We saw earlier on the great assist that he had, obviously the mental capacity that he carries and the good presence that he showed there, but also the physical aspect that he brings to the field. A lot of times you'll see him challenging in the air, the nice 50-50 balls that have been whipped in by Van Schaik.
Yeah, 6'1", 170 out of Trinidad and Tobago. Van Schaik. Heading it forward was Higashi, and unable to keep that in the playing area was Hackshaw. Watson and George looking to advance. The Jacks could use a spark from Alex Martinez. To his right, serves it in. And the Battery are there again to clear it. This time they put it into the stands. Alex Martinez, beautiful move to his left, serves it up, but right in to the lap of Kuzminski.
Martinez going to the ground again. In that situation, you can see him just 2-3 times coming down the field. Fortunately ending up on his backside, but a little bit more active here in the past 5 minutes. It's good to see out of Alex.
Yeah, good charge. Electricity out of Martinez. Play to the far side. Higashi nearly had another chance. He has the goal on the scoreboard here in the first half.
You have to wonder if Mike Jeffries is going to make a change at halftime. You hate to pull someone out of the back line, but Donnie Smith is definitely dragging behind. It's the second or third time we've seen him get beat in a one-on-one situation, and you could see it coming the entire way. The overlapping run developed, and he just couldn't make the transition from the middle to the left. All you have to do is open up your body, and as the runner steps out, you go with him, but you saw he was much slower in his reaction time.
Yeah, Donnie coming back from injury. That's a nice pass in as Smith was looking for a little give and go. Alex Martinez shifting to his right, loops it up. Hackshaw is there to head it away. In the 39th minute, as that will roll harmlessly out of bounds. Goal kick upcoming for Joe. Battery tied with both New York and Nashville in the Eastern Conference standings. 20 points. Charlotte in third with 21.
Be another great win for the Battery. As you said there, even though the Battery are sitting in 7th place, they're only 1 point behind the Independents. Very close in goal differential, and although everybody's in action, they're level in the amount of games played. So not only for the rivalry sense, state to state, but obviously the statistics moving up in the Eastern Conference standings.
Coach Jeffries must have applauded that effort of Kevon George. Cato trying to work around Van Schaik. Well played by Jared. Big crowd on hand. Fireworks nights, as the Independents hoping a little for fireworks on the field here as they trail 1-0. The stadium looks great. Again, they increased the seating capacity to accommodate all the fans in the Charlotte area. Jung-Soo Lee. Smith. Long lead pass. Alex Martinez tries to run it down. A little bit too far. A gorgeous night for the Southern Derby. Good passing. Cato has it back. But a wall of white shirts. Wild turned right back into Watson. There comes Wild. Foot race with Duckett. Duckett, so tough to beat. Charlotte will try the left sideline, far side. Higashi has had an active game with the lone goal. Taylor Mueller, the Iron Man. Long ball to Higashi, completes it.
Higashi just trailing a little bit on his run. This is a good idea from the visitors, but unfortunately just ill-timed coming out of the back, and that's what you've seen pretty much from the Battery all night long. The long ball really giving them success so far. Only the 1 goal to show for it, but causing a lot of frustration for the Independents. I'm sure Mike Jeffries is definitely going to make a few changes at halftime. Love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
You think Jorge Herrera may see some time in the second half? They had the game Wednesday. I know Coach Jeffries would love to rest the veteran here today.
Jeffries has a couple guys he could go to. As you mentioned, Jorge Herrera. They've also got Mutai Mwape sitting on the bench that can help out too. And both of them can help going forward. Obviously, Mwape can definitely stretch the pace. Jorge, they tend to see him float into a little bit of a 10 roll right in the middle of the park.
Joel Johnson back to Cato, but then he couldn't connect with Joel on the give and go, and Cato said, keep moving. Well, those two have been the spark here in the first half. They've been entertaining. Martinez being grabbed, able to elude the defense. Here's Cato. Can he beat Hackshaw? Into the box and broken up by Anunga.
Yeah, unless something changes, we're going to
Now in the 44th minute, Wild plays it back dangerously, but able to shift sides.
Great job by the Battery. You could see Independence had moved their line up a little bit and were trying to press them into that corner, and the Battery just shifting around. Great job playing out of the back.
O'Brien serving it into the box. Good job by Lee to block it out of danger. Side of the box, Higashi. Chased by Donnie Smith. Woodburn buying O'Brien. Only his second game this season. He did score a goal in his first appearance this year. Long running start. He's going to heave it. Cato in a foot race. Anunga wrestling. Here the Independence crowd urging Cato on. See if the Independence can garner an attack here before the close of the first half. George to the near side. Cordell Cato. Foster's touch didn't make it to the intended target. 2 minutes of stoppage here at the end of the first half.
Minimum of 2 minutes of stoppage time.
Guerra with two defenders.
Of stoppage time.
Dancing around one. Couldn't get away from Jung-Soo Lee.
What you want from 3 again?
Well, he's just entertaining to watch, isn't he? A human highlight film.
Just pulling 3-4 players from the Charlotte Independence over, but now they've got the opportunity, push numbers forward.
On the sprint, Watson. Leaves for Martinez, he's dropped from behind. O'Brien put Alex down to the turf.
O'Brien Woodbine very frustrated with Rubiel Vasquez, our head referee, but it's smart by Alex Martinez here just to catch your breath a little bit, get a last-ditch effort right before halftime. Independence turning up the pace a little bit, and that's what they need to do. When the Battery come, they need to counterpunch a little bit and go the other direction. In the set-piece situation, the Independents have not done very well from outside of the box this year.
Just outside of the corner. Martinez, a low ball, is booted out of there by the Battery. As Alex trying to line drive that one through traffic. Long ball back in the box, and Hackshaw's there. About 20 seconds remain. Martinez with an opportunity. Can he unload? He decides to pass it instead. Didn't have much there. Alex may be being a little too unselfish there, Devin.
I actually don't mind the look. Unfortunately, the trailing run from Bilal Duckett, who was still up from the set piece a second ago, was a little bit unnoticed. Center back just out of his element. Couldn't connect with Alex Martinez.
And that will bring the first half to a close. There's the man with the goal. Kataro Higashi, his first of the season, set up by number 10, Garrett, with a phenomenal pass and assist of the Charleston goal. They lead it 1-0 as Dykstra and the Independents head to the locker room. As Higashi will lead the battery to their side, and Coach Mike Jeffries, we'll see what his message is, see how the Independents respond in the second half. There's the goal by Higashi, the battery on top, 1-0 here at the half in the Battle of the Carolinas.
I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
Come on, computer.
A beautiful night for the Battle of the Carolinas back at the Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium in Charlotte. 1-0 Charleston on the goal by Kataro Higashi. The battery out front, trying to win for the second time against the Independents this season, and that was Charlotte's last defeat. Take a look at the table right here in the East.
As we talk now, it's going to be very different later on. Right now, Bob Lilly and Pittsburgh doing a good job holding off New York Red Bull 2. They're up 2-0. Sunisad, Indy 11, taking down Toronto 3-1. All these are right around halftime or just over. And Alan Koch, FC Cincinnati, recovering nicely from their kind of midweek letdown versus Bethlehem Steel and 10 men who were able to crawl back and get a tie out of that game. They're up 2-0 on Richmond. So a lot of movement in the Eastern Conference right now, at least mid-game. And you take a look at the West, and you're going to get similar stuff here as we've got some solid games later on. San Antonio, Sac Republic are going to deal with that in San Antonio, and Braden Cloutier, Orange County Soccer Club, going to have to deal with Reno 1868. They've seemed to find things a little bit better, gotten back on track. T2 couldn't figure out what was going on the other day as they went down to OKC, and later on tonight, two squads that definitely need to get into the win column. Tulsa's going to have to deal with Phoenix Rising, and Las Vegas Lights heading in the wrong direction. Their technical director, El Chalice, just handed an 8-game suspension. So a lot going on between the Eastern and Western Conference this week.
And that is our score here from Charlotte. The Battery leading 1-0 as we look at their upcoming matches, and they've got the Riverhounds coming up. That'll be a good one.
It's going to be difficult for both the Battery and Independence, as we're going to see both of them. And you see the TFC2 game, and outside of that, you got to deal with Bob Lilly Obviously, North Carolina FC, Indy 11, Martin Rennie, they've kind of got things going. The good news for them is that 3 out of 5 of these are at home. The bad news is they're with some pretty solid opponents.
Yeah, and for the Independents, their road not easy as well. 3 out of 5 on the road, Devin.
We talked about this at the top of the broadcast, and they're actually going to be playing 9 out of 12 on the road overall, and had the opportunity to discuss this with Jeffries at the beginning of the season. You know, he said some coaches might like to be home first, might like to be away first. Unfortunately, they were at home first. Jeffries actually would prefer to be on the road. That way he'd kind of have the home games in hand coming down the stretch, but either way, they did a good job managing it and are sitting pretty so far.
Well, it is a pretty evening here in Charlotte. Independents trailing 1-0 to the rivals, the Charleston Battery.
We came here with a unique challenge, and that was to solve the problem of producing over 500 games and do so in a cost-effective way for the clubs, in a way that produced high-quality broadcasts and standardize the look and feel of all of those productions. Outside of the live event, the match experience, outside of that, the broadcast is the window into the brand for the club and for the league. You need to be able to capture that in a compelling way with a quality broadcast.
A large portion of the teams work with our partner Vista on REMI Productions, remote integration. What that means is that the production of the game is actually handled mostly away from site. So the way these games work is a truck will show up locally at the stadium. There'll be 4 camera operators there, and those signals are sent all the way here to Fort Lauderdale. And here locally at Vista, the game is cut. The game has graphics put on top of it. Replay is done here, and in many cases, the play-by-play is actually done on site here at Vista as well. So after the game is fully produced, we have a signal that goes to our partner ESPN Plus for US distribution. We have a signal that goes to YouTube for international distribution. And then for the teams that have an over-the-air local broadcast regional sports network deal, the signal is sent to their partners as well. So even for the games that aren't done with a REMI production, all games flow through Vista, and all those signals have to get sent out all over the world to reach the fans of USL. Because of those REMI productions, we'll oftentimes have 5 or 6 games going on at one time. Nobody is doing sports REMI productions on this level consistently.
We have built one of the largest REMI production models of any league in the world. And now we're able to deliver anywhere in the world to our partners at ESPN, fully produced matches from all over the country. We couldn't be more thrilled with the progress we've made and some of the innovative things now we're going to be able to start to bring into the broadcast moving forward.
The Southern Derby is 1-0 Battery at the moment. We are at the half here at the beautiful Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium. We look at some news and notes from around the USL. 1 million strong, Devin, remarkable.
Well ahead of the standard that they set last year, and then just moving on in that, it's only going to get better for the USL and the fans in the league. And Phoenix Rising, with the shock departure of head coach Patrice Carterone, Chance getting the chance to step in, pointing them in the right direction. Solid win the other night. And as you see, Louisville's going to host Nashville, and Sacramento doing a good job versus Seattle Sounders, getting a lead in extra time. They're going to play host to LAFC. It's going to be a fun end of 16 for the U.S. Open Cup and where those guys are going to end up.
Yeah, what a great story for the USL that is. Well, look at the Player of the Month nominees here in the U.S. One of those players we're enjoying watching here tonight in Guerra.
And it turns out that Maxime Crépeau was actually going to get the win on this. As you see, the 43% of the weighted poll. Interestingly enough, Emmanuel Ledesma from FC Cincinnati had a huge month, and he blew the fan vote away with 67%. But the technical vote a little bit solid for Crépeau, and how could it not be? 6 shutouts in 6 games against the likes of Battery, Penn FC, New York Red Bull 2, and Bethlehem Steel. And you could make the argument for any one of these players and the performances that they put on in the month of May. But how can you go against Crépeau and what he was able to do against such high talents?
A phenomenal job in goal by Crépeau. Well, we are 1-0 here at the half. in Charlotte. This should be a good second half of action. We'll see what Coach Jeffries has in store with his Jacks.
Oh, I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
And welcome back to the Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium. Post-game fireworks after this game as the Jacks hoping for some second-half fireworks from their potent offense, which has been quieted, Devin, by a very solid Battery defense.
The Battery have done a really good job keeping them contained, and you can just see them. It's a little bit through lethargic coming forward. Battery playing that high press, and Charlotte doesn't know how to respond to it.
First half highlights. Gordon Wild.
He was all over the place for the Battery in the first half. Very, very difficult for them to track him. Again, the overlapping runs by the Battery up top, Atula Guerra, Gordon Wild, Higashi, all of them causing frustration time and time again. And most of the highlights we're going to see are going to come from the likes of the Battery. This is one of the better opportunities. Good ball into Foster, who plays it across. He does a good job maintaining his position on the back post, but as he's floating back, hard to get enough power to bring it back across the goal to try and beat the goalkeeper from Charleston Battery and Jose Kuzminski. And you just see, like, again, the chemistry between the Battery is much more prevalent on the field, and you can see it as they go forward. Here's a good one in Woodbine and able to pick out the far post, the near post. Gordon Wild trying to crash in, but time and time again, as everybody started to fluctuate all over the pitch, you could see the Battery really, Independence really struggling to maintain their composure with all the interchanging play. Joel Johnson going forward did a good job, but unfortunately coming back didn't have a lot of help in transition. The Battery able to take advantage of it.
And here's Guerra. What a pass.
And there's a good representation right there, trying to come out of the back. They can't do it. They go the other way, and we gave Guerra such high praise at the top of the broadcast and his ability to finish and such a marksman in his position. But how about the job of playing the supporting role? Good ball into Higashi, and he has the wherewithal to understand where Dykstra is in goal. Just slips it in between his legs. Easy pickings.
And Joy, Higashi, and Guerra. Guerra actually put that pass through a defender's legs. Martinez came on towards the second half of the first half.
Alex was very quiet, to say the least, and you can see that in a representation of their possession. Mike Jeffries told us midweek that he thinks that they've been better in transition. Haven't seen it so far. Opening 45 minutes, very quiet for them.
Yeah.
I understand on the defensive side of the ball that they're tired, but here's the deal. You need to figure out exactly what you want to do. What they should be doing is give Battery a taste of their own medicine. Start to go the other way. Play the high press. We really only saw it once. Now, the Battery were able to get out of it and go the other direction, but if you move your lineup 15, 20 yards here and there, keep the Battery second guessing, It's going to keep them honest, makes it much more difficult to come out of their own half as opposed to them starting right around midfield.
Yeah, look at the difference in shots on target. Are you surprised? Possession actually favors Charlotte.
That's the purposeful possession, though. Yeah. Battery, they don't mind sitting back. We've seen it where they've gone 2, 3, 4 halves in a row with giving up the possession to someone else. Just a few weeks ago, they played Atlanta United 2, only carried around 25% possession, had 5 total shots, 3 of them on goal, 3 of them in the back of the net. They won 3-0. So obviously,
all that counts.
Exactly. Anheuser knows what they're doing when they go forward.
Well, let's see what Mike Jeffries has in store. There's a good look at Zaid, and Amon had the lone goal Wednesday night in Atlanta. Zaid with 3 goals on the season. As the Battery get together, they hope to take chapter 2 of the Southern Derby here this season. Now, speaking of Zaid, he's of international fame. He scored a hat trick in the Tehran Derby when his team was down 2-0 and a man down. That is known internationally as 10 minutes with 10 men. Charlotte would take one of those goals here in the second half.
Charlotte making a change as well, and you're going to see it both personnel and tactically. They've brought off Joel Johnson, and they're going to bring on Jorge Herrera to try and help out up top. Don't be surprised if you see Mike Jeffries and co. go to a 3-back system. And they'll transition in they call it a 3-4-3, call it an interchanging 3-5-2. Regardless, it's going to be a little bit more interesting up top.
Guerra and Wild trying to work into the final third. Woodbine, Brian Woodbine serves it in and won't get to his target, as he was trying to sneak it through to Kelly. Angelo Kelly getting the start tonight. He signed his first pro contract back in March with Charleston. Well, it didn't take long to go to the veteran star Jorge Herrera. We were wondering when he was going to come in. And right at the start of the second half.
Not surprised Mike Jeffries made the change, and obviously going to the 3-back system is going to switch things up a little bit too, but also it gives them the opportunity. Look, in the first half, they didn't challenge the middle of the park, and this is going to give them a little bit more of an opportunity. We didn't hear Anunga or Kelly's name called for the most part at all for the Battery in the first half. And you have to give credit to Charleston and their ability to utilize wing play and get up and down the pitch so efficiently. But on the defensive side of the ball and moving out of the back for the Independents, they need to recognize that. If they can pinch this game in a little bit more, that's going to make it difficult on the defensive side of the ball for the Battery. But also, if they do turn the ball over, their wings are going to be tucked in, trying to mark the guys from the Charlotte Independents. So going forward, it's going to be much more difficult for them.
Charlotte, between Cato and Herrera, they lead the Eastern Conference as a tandem in scoring, 6 goals apiece. Cato created what little opportunities that Charlotte could manage in the first half. Cordell seemed to be in the middle of. Martinez. And here's Jorge. Check that Fosser. Cato with the drums of Jack's Militia playing in the back. Higashi out of the pack with Guerra. Those two have quite a chemistry here tonight. And on the run, it's Woodbine. Wild against Smith, forcing him to his right. Donnie is strong left-footed player.
Donnie Smith going with safe rather than sorry in that situation. One-on-one with Gordon Wild. Wild got tangled up with himself a little bit, pushed the ball out in front of him, just doing a little dance by himself. But Donnie Smith could have used his body there. Saw Andrew Dykstra stepping over to help him out and elected to knock it over the end line. Start over.
A corner kick for Charleston. Gordon Wild, 2 assists. Looking for another up high in the air. Charlotte able to win it. Our side of the box, it's Higashi. His pass was looking for Skylar Thomas. And here comes Cato. One-on-one with Woodbine. Able to slow him up to get help. Martinez. Hard to his left. And ridden off by Kelly.
You have to wonder what's going on in the head of Alex Martinez. Very sluggish in his play this evening and just hasn't really gotten it going like they'd like him to this season. Fluctuating in and out of games. Very up and down in his performance. And just on the counterattack right there, you like the Independents going forward with pace and emotion. Cordell Cato didn't really have a reason to step on the ball. It's out in front of him. Needed to trust himself, take one log touch, utilize that speed. He has the capability to do it. Instead, he elects to step on it, allows the battery to step back, and next thing you know, it's 3-on-3.
Yeah. Oh, Alex was grimacing after that. I wonder if he is hampered by an injury, Devin. He does lead the team in duels won with 99, tackles won with 24. But hasn't put up the offensive numbers that, like you mentioned, that Independence fans are accustomed to.
A lot of times get into situations where they're just...
Good look here. Garrett leaves it for Hackshaw and couldn't settle it down and get a strong kickoff.
I stepped off my comments. I thought I saw Neville coming through. I thought he was going to finish that off. But a lot of times guys are lacking confidence. But when we had the conversation with Mike Jeffries, I had the opportunity to chat with him a couple times. And most recently, asking him, was he lacking the emotion to play? You know, was he frustrated by his brother's departure? And he said, no, he's his own person. And you see that on the field. But you just see the emotion that we saw that was so prevalent from Martinez last year. It's just missing. And needless to say, it's affected his overall game. Injury or not, you just expect a little bit more out of him. He's such an emotional leader for this squad. Unfortunately, that hasn't translated onto the field.
It seemed like he and Enzo really fed off of each other emotionally. Here's a corner kick coming up from Kai Fosser. Fosser has a goal and an assist this season. Loops it high right out in front. Zaid got up there. We got a sub, another sub for the Independents as Buwapi will enter. You talked about him as a possibility to spark this team in the second half. Mutaya out of Zambia has an assist this season.
Surprised that they're doing it with Cordell, though. Thought maybe they would keep Cordell on. You could move him over to the other wing. Maybe with an issue with Alex Martinez, bring Alex off. But obviously Jeffries seeing something that we don't, electing to go kind of like for like here. Cato off and Mwape on, both of them big speedsters. Mwape such a good career at Lindsey Wilson in the NAI a few years ago, and he's another one they brought over here in the offseason. Jeffries just making so many smart moves, but again, the chemistry has been lacking, and you haven't really seen that translate into the play. Last year, very well known for being 2, 3, 4 passes in a row, carrying a lot of possession. But here you see them, it's just kind of ticky-tacky type stuff, but it's not really moving forward. It's very left and right.
Well, sometimes it may come together a little bit quicker than the coach expects, but it doesn't mean it's going to sustain that chemistry, Devin, with all the new faces.
That's a good talk, because last year at the end of the year, the Charlotte Independents were one of the hottest teams in the USL, but just faltered coming down the stretch. They put an unbeaten streak together that rivaled none, and they were cruising in second place, and just slowly over the final 7-8 weeks end up finishing off in 5th place and then bowing out in the playoffs to the Rochester Rhinos.
There's Mwape, the diminutive, exciting, explosive player out of Zambia. They list him at 5'7". Fosser playing a little catch with Watson. Kai advancing methodically. And Donnie Smith, he could ignite the home crowd, hometown hero. Played down the road at Charlotte, UNCC. Mwape, look at these feet. still remains in control. Smith off of Woodbine.
Independence corner kick.
Corner kick coming out for the Independents.
Number 10, Jorge Herrera.
Jorge Herrera will serve it in. He has a couple of assists, 26 key passes for the veteran, who had the first goal here at the Sportsplex. That came last season. Also had a hat trick last July, first hat trick in Independence history. Bends it into the far post, but nobody there.
Jorge kind of looking around, waiting for a response from one of his teammates. Everybody just reading a different book right now. Some people in nonfiction, other people in the literature section.
A shot hits the side of the net. What a strike from Gordon Wild. You could see the power that he has when he launches.
Once again, fans, with tonight's stellar attendance, this is the largest crowd to view a home regular season Independence game in the franchise.
You can hear him announcing this is a franchise record, largest crowd for a regular season game for an Independence match, and that thanks to the seating expansion here in the Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium. The Independents drawing well all season. They are 13% ahead of last year's rate in attendance. They had a sellout crowd versus FC Cincinnati earlier in the season. In the beginning of May, they opened Jack's House Soccer Bar and Store. They also have watch parties there, including FIFA. You can watch the World Cup there at Jack's House Soccer Bar. Go to jackshouseclt.com for the watch party schedule.
That leads right into what we talked about at halftime with the overall expansion of the USL, and you know, the testament to this league growing top to bottom. They've been able to get involved with the Division III now, which is actually going to start playing in 2019. They're going to submit their application for sanctioning pretty soon with the United States Soccer Federation to be recognized in that manner. Just the continued overall growth for this country in every way, shape, and form. Albuquerque, New Mexico getting a squad recently. Tormenta FC in Georgia, who's been so good at their level so far, they're going to step in, and just so many markets coming into play. It's a testament to where this country is trying to go and the growth overall.
Yeah, it is. We see it with USL reaching that million in attendance a month earlier than last season's record-setting attendance. Herrera, that ball got through, but won't find a Jack's target as Woodbine runs it down. It's just been outstanding. You think of the increase of attendance. Well, baseball has had a decrease this season. A lot of that they're blaming on the weather, but certainly hasn't affected the soccer fans this season.
Right after the announcement of the World Cup, had the opportunity to be on a conference call with a bunch of very big names, but three in particular. Was the head of the federations for both Canada, excuse me, all three, Canada, United States, and Mexico. Carlos Cordero, obviously for the United States.
The run by Kelly puts it out. Wild just missing his right foot as George was there to deflect it.
And it goes right along with your comments, Ari, about the growth here and hitting that attendance mark, and then in other sports kind of dropping off a little bit. Carlos Cordero telling us on the call that he feels that soccer can actually be the preeminent sport in the United States.
What a pass by Mwape, but coming off his line to disrupt that is Kuzminski. A player down for the Battery. That is their star defender, Taylor Mueller. Quite a collision there. I don't know if Kuzminski actually got a piece. A little friendly fire there with Mueller. A beautiful pass ahead by Mwape.
Good stuff by the Independents, making their way through the middle, and it's a nice teasing ball in behind. Mueller does a good job recognizing the threat. As you can see, all three of them just going in hard. And it's a good play by Joey Kuzminski stepping up into the space, and unfortunately the center back had to sacrifice his body a little bit, but it's all for the good of the game, as was able to come up and frustrate Zaid, who had made an excellent run in behind the defense.
And it did appear that Kuzminski got a piece of Mueller, hit him in the left hip, looking more towards the left ankle. Zaid was in the middle of the collision. helping Taylor to his feet. That's good to see. The Iron Man, this would be a story because he played every minute of every USL match last season.
You're going to get another look. It's just,
oh yeah,
Studs getting cut up underneath him a little bit, maybe even caught in the grass, trailing as Kuzminski stepped up into that space. Like you said, Ari, probably the last person you'd want to see in an ineffective role with the Battery since 2012, but it's good to see him kind of walking it off, jogging off, getting his motions back in him.
Oh, great to see Mueller okay and able to stay in. We're in the 60th minute as the Jacks continue to search for some offense. They've subbed in Mwape and Jorge Herrera here in the second half. Now they came in with the third highest scoring offense in the league with 21 goals. Now they can strike in a hurry. That one lofted into the top of the box, and Hackshaw is there. Guerra able to settle it, push it towards the perimeter.
Liverpool versus Dortmund. The Bank of America Stadium on July 22nd.
Higashi, the newcomer of the year last season for the Battery, has been impressive here tonight. He has the lone goal this evening. Fosser looking to create in the middle of the field. Fosser and Mwape. Where is the opening for the Jacks?
Once again, you can see there's just no movement in the middle of the field for the Charlotte Independents. Defense nice and compact for the Battery. And Garrett, each and every time, micromanaging a little bit, telling people where to go, but that's not the worst thing ever.
Mwape launches, and that will sail well over the goal.
You're constantly seeing Donnie Smith, Suli and Bilal Duckett. They're looking coming out of the back, and they're trying to find people, but there's just nothing there. This is really the only threat we've seen in the second half so far, and it's just a long ball over the top to Amon, who lays it off. Got Mwape stepping up into the middle, but the Independents have to do better in these situations. The Battery starting to concede even more possession. Enhauser deciding to park the bus a little bit, and they're going to pick and choose their opportunities to go forward in general, but even more so now, sitting on that 1-0 lead with about 30 minutes to go. You see them to start slack off, sit back a little bit. It's going to be dangerous for the Independents because it's almost lulling them in. They're going to be lulled to sleep as they move their lineup a little bit further. They just have to be careful in their actions, but we've seen Atula Guerra and what company are capable of.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Independents had the possession edge in the first half, but the Battery had all the good opportunities. And now again, even a bigger edge with possession here in the second half. They have to be leery of that counter attack ability. You got a player like Guerra out there.
Just as we mentioned moments ago, Mwape and his opportunity, that's really the only thing we've seen from them. But we've seen the Battery go the other direction a few times. Coming into the second half, it was 54-46 respectively for the Independents. We're already approaching 70% possession for them. But like you said, Ari, it doesn't matter if you're not going anywhere with it.
And here comes Woodbine. Put it behind Higashi. A little miscommunication there. Break for Charlotte. Let's see if they can turn this into an opportunity. Far side. Mwape wiggles to his right against 3 defenders. And nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go, and no one's helping him either. Not everybody's going to be able to get out of a 3v1 situation. You see Alex Martinez, Jorge Herrera just standing around and behind. You obviously want to create a triangle, but how's Mwape supposed to get out of that and feed them the ball if they don't even make themselves readily available?
Good Good stab there by George. Kevon has done well. Fossert, little daylight, tried to connect with Herrera, just missing the foot of Jorge. Good drive there by Kai. And there's the veteran heart and soul of the franchise, Jorge. First player signed in Independence history. He played for the Charlotte Eagles for 8 seasons before the Independence.
Could hear Jack's Militia getting involved in Jorge's antics. Jorge just a moment ago counting seconds on his hand right in front of Rubiel Vasquez, our referee, reminding him that Kuzminski might be wasting a little bit of time here.
Enzo behind his back, goes to the perimeter. Mwape settles it right in front of the Jacks Militia. Mwape hard to his right. Can he get around Hackshaw? Ooh, great move by Mwape, but double team. Kelly's been pretty solid in his first start. There's a shot and a save by Kuzminski.
13 coming on, 7 going on. 13 on, 17.
Donnie Smith didn't quite get all of that, Devin.
Just couldn't get enough power behind it. Much better movement from the Charlotte Independents. Now they're going to have to deal with a little bit more firepower as the Battery going to make a change of their own, bring on Nico Rittmeyer for O'Brien Woodbine. Not a bad shift from Woodbine. Seen a little bit more from him in the past, but did a good job solidifying the wings for the Battery going forward.
And he's been limited this season. He's had some injury issues. Duckett, the captain, leader, trying to encourage his team. Leads him in. Herrera's tripped up. And a foul on Van Schaik. Jorge holding the left ankle. Herrera out of Columbia. There's Rittmeyer. Nico out of Savannah, Georgia, went to the College of Charleston in his second season. Spent the entire youth career with the South Carolina Battery system. Woodbine, some good minutes, and some high fives as he heads to his sideline. Let's see if Martinez can get something started. Guerra, too smooth. Watch out, here's Wild. The shot, and it's over the goal. Coming way out to play him was Andrew Dykstra. He gambled.
This all goes back to Alex Martinez on the left-hand side. Something just does not seem right with him, and he just turns the ball over. It's super easy for the Battery to go the other direction. Good ball movement, and Wild very uncharacteristically pushes it over the bar. We've seen him put much more difficult opportunities away than that. I'm sure Anhauser would love to be sitting on a 2-0 lead right now. Fortunately, a little bit more work left to do.
Yeah, Gordon Wild was looking for his 4th goal of the season. And had a great opportunity there. There's some pulling that sent Alex Martinez. He gets up pleading with the official for a whistle. And unable to capture that pass was Watson.
Substitute Nico Rittmeyer getting involved right away, throwing his body around a little bit. And he's an interesting one for the Battery. They really haven't seen his full potential. The kid was, call him all-world coming out of high school. He was a high school All-American. The goals that he was scoring were ridiculous. He actually still holds the national record. He had 10 straight hat tricks. That's wow. 30 goals in 10 games. Absolutely insane. And then from there, he steps in with new head coach Carlos Simonella at North Carolina, leaves after his freshman year. Only 4 appearances and just never really got it going for the Tar Heels. Then started to make a name for themselves for the Carls at Charleston. Got back on track, but since then, just at the professional level, really hasn't found his footing.
And how hard is that transition, Devin? I mean, you went through that playing professionally. What does it take to make that adjustment?
the physical attributes are there for a lot of players. It really is mental for a lot of people, where you have to constantly make decisions on a regular basis that are going to affect you specifically in so many different ways than you've ever been accustomed to. Whether it be places that you're sleeping, food that you're eating, travel, all of these things, mental and physical, they're variables that start to come into play on a daily basis, and they really do break you down. So to have the mental tenacity to be able to handle those things and push yourself and rise above it, and then let it translate onto the pitch, is very difficult to do. And that's why you'll see some players that don't have the ability to kind of push themselves to the next level once they come out of such a star role in high school or even coming out of college. On the reverse side of things, we see guys that are kind of middle of the road in college get an opportunity at the pro level and push it as far as they can go.
Herrera loops it in, but Hackshaw again, he has been formidable in the air. Foster with a burst of speed. Return pass, Watson. Herrera touches back to Kai. Watson plays it back. Bilal Duckett. And Jung-Soo Lee. Lee inching forward. Mwape the touch, but broken up. Guerra back to Higashi. These two have worked tremendously. Watch out, here comes Guerra. Around Duckett. Guerra looks to pass and can't connect with Wild, as Atula's really looked to set up his teammates, and he's frustrated. He has an assist of the lone goal here tonight. Has not attempted a shot yet.
More than a little bit. Guerra he's taking his frustrations out on Gordon Wild, and I'm not really sure what he's so frustrated about. I don't mind the decision to put this ball to the back post, but you'd like to see him either A, put that on the ground, give him an opportunity to run onto it, or B, actually cut it back between his legs, put it on his left foot. Then he might have that opportunity to go alone, like you've mentioned, Ari. Haven't really seen him push out by himself here this evening.
Yeah, second in the league with 7 goals. Well, looking to set up his teammates here tonight. He has the 1 assist to Higashi. We're in the 72nd minute. We're going to take a hydration break shortly. Dykstra. He came off his line to challenge Wild on that breakout for Gordon. And the risk paid off. I think it made Wild hurry that shot off a little bit. Watson accelerating, comes to the perimeter, and unable to get back to that pass was Foster. Well, the drums are sounding over near the Jacks Militia. We're going to have fireworks after the game. Donnie Smith just lofts that in, but no blue shirts, and an easy play for Kuzminski.
Something just coming to our attention, Ari, that neither one of us were able to catch, and we need to kind of relay it to what's going on here. Alex Martinez actually picked up a yellow card on that play just a few moments ago, going in transition on the professional foul that he pulled. That's his 4th of the year, so one more. He's going to have to go to the naughty corner and take a 1-game suspension.
Yeah, and a fine.
Yeah, we saw him in that emotion last year, but again, never want the yellow cards to start accumulating like that. It starts to become detrimental to the squad. They're already behind in a situation like this. Coming down the stretch, you want to make sure he's available so that you can start getting things able to click in the right direction.
Yeah, sometimes, though, we saw the Martinez brothers feed off of that emotion and really catch fire. And Martinez is going to go to the bench shortly.
Timely.
We're going to have a substitute in a moment. Kevon George. Watch out with Guerra looming. You have to be cautious. Foster. Driven back by Anunga. Bilal Duckett trying to inch up, get the offense started a little bit sooner. Watson puts it out for himself, but can't track it down.
Substitution.
The independent substitution in the 74th minute. Exiting a big hit for number 23, Alex.
So Jake Arman will come in relief of Alex Martinez, who's grimacing throughout the night, and as Devin mentioned, did pick up another yellow card. So Alex going to catch his breath on the sideline. Jake Arman out of Freehold, New Jersey, and Monmouth University. Alex with some high fives, including head coach Mike Jeffries.
A few words exchanged there between Alex and Mike Jeffries. Alex just not himself here as we're going to lead into the hydration break, but Jake Arman stepping on and did very well for Monmouth University and Red Bull Academy, playing for the U23s. But it goes back, I just want to know what's wrong with him. You know, you can see he's just not himself, and whether it be mental or physical, that's something the training staff needs to get on top of right away, because you're still at a point where you can catch it to gain him for the rest of the season.
Well, Charlotte taking a moment for fluids now. They trailed it 1-0. The Battery ahead in this Southern Derby. All-time 7 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. And all but 3 of those contests were decided by a draw or 1 goal.
Don't be surprised if any of that changes here this evening. You see Coach Mike Landhauser just switching things up and deciding to park the bus a little bit, sit back, more than happy to let the offensive pushes come from Charlotte Independence, and they're just going to take it in stride and then pick and choose their spots going forward. It's definitely been the case here in the second half. Took it to the Independents a little bit more in the opening 45, but have no problem being a little bit more reserved with their efforts, and the Independents just don't know what to do going in the other direction. For me, it goes back to what we talked about at halftime, Ari. There's just no one in the middle of the pitch. Where's the cunning play? No one's been real crafty. They need that spark in that one-on-one situations to get someone going. Before we came on, I was going to say that they could use this as kind of a milestone victory, if you will. Neither squad really having one so far, but right now, they just want one person to have a milestone performance.
No, you saw that concern on Coach Mike Jeffries' face, as he must be feeling the same way you are, Devin. Wondering where that energy, where that spark is going to come from in the middle of the field. A record-setting regular season crowd here tonight at Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium, thanks to seating expansion. And they're going to be treated to fireworks after the game. A beautiful night. Most of them already received their free Novant Health cooling towels. Watson. Mwape, lead pass. That was hooked out of bounds. Battery victory here tonight. They will leap ahead of Charlotte in the standings. They could earn 3 points. They trail just by 1 point at this juncture in the standings. Now Charleston will host Pittsburgh in a big match at home next Saturday. Charlotte will travel to Richmond. Rittmeyer. That's a man Devin's excited to see what he can accomplish, making the transition here to the pro level. We're in the 79th minute. Crowd a bit quiet. Hoping to find something to roar about. Foster. Good passing there. A touch interrupted and intercepted by Hackshaw, though. Mwape finds it. What a move back to his right, lofts it out in front, and a goal! What a shot by Mutaya Mwape. What a finesse touch, Devin.
Mwape is going to have some interesting post-game comments for us. Would love to know what he's thinking in this situation. This starts off, ball comes in. Zayed doesn't do a very good job of getting his body underneath it. And fortunately enough, it comes back out to Mutaya Mwape. Has a little dance session going on the side with Neville Hackshaw, and you can see just beats him, goes back and forth, pulls it back outside, and I think he's playing this ball to the back post. He's trying to pick somebody out, and it is poor goalkeeping, to say the least, by Joe Kuzminski. Mwape trying to cross that ball across. Kuzminski gets lost in the lights a little bit, almost kind of confused and distraught as to where his location was inside the 6-yard box, and that's able to find the back of the net. The Battery are absolutely shocked.
Well, they had this game in control, and all of a sudden, we are tied in the 80th minute. Jack's militia is berserk over there. Mwape, he was the substitute and had the golden play. Here's another sub this half. Herrera plays it back. Armin. Well, a lot of hop in the step now for the Independents. Donnie Smith towards the back post, but that is out of bounds. Well, what a finesse play by Mwape. You are leaning towards possible pass first on that.
But he crossed that ball.
Yeah, but it was, either way, it was right on the mark. Either would have been a perfect pass. It finds the side of the net. Stunning Kuzminski.
It's one of those ones where you're in the dressing room after the match, all your boys are kind of poking and prodding, giving you a hard time, and you swear on everything you own and everything you love that you were trying to pick out that far corner. A little bit of life left in the Independents yet. See the energy level raised a little bit, as it should be.
And we'll see how Coach Anhauser adjusts his strategy now in a tie. Skylar Thomas. Kuzminski, who came in with 4 clean sheets, just conceded his 8th goal of the season. And now got Gordon Wild. Look, about 10 minutes ago, you said they would have loved to have that second goal on the board. That was a fantastic opportunity for the Battery.
One of those ones that you look back on in the season and go, what if? And that's the worst thing for a manager in a position for his squad to be in. Points lost on the road. You talked about the Battery and their upcoming schedule, and it is a difficult one. Again, they're going to go to Richmond, but then dealing with Indy 11.
Mwape splits 2 defenders with a pass. Herrera's pass almost found Zayed. Kuzminski coming up to seize it.
Attention fans, if you'd like to meet the players, take a picture, or get an autograph, could you please make your way to Autograph Alley, located at the south
goal
end
kick
of the
for
field near the
Kuzminski.
clubhouse. The players will make their way over shortly after the final
Well,
whistle.
Guerra
Your safety and the safety
was
of
looking
others, please
to
do not
set
go
up
over
his
the
teammates
rail
here
and
tonight.
to the field. Remember,
Maybe looking for a strike in the back of the net himself here in the late minutes. Onunga out of the pack to his left. Good defense by Armin. Mwape looking to ignite the crowd again. Rittmeyer on the sprint. Gordon Wild sends it across the side of the box. And there's a whistle. So Okonkwo will check in for Coach Anhauser. Patrick Okonkwo, the Nigerian, on loan from Atlanta United. He comes in for Gordon Wild, and Okonkwo had 26 goals in 29 games for the Atlanta United development team, so he can put him in the back of the net in a hurry.
Another speedster and ace in the hole for Mike Anhauser and co. Constantly being able to go to the bench and pull another rabbit out of the hat, consistently bringing speed and pace to this squad. And that's got to be nice in the 85th minute to be able to go and get a guy like that, bring him off the bench. Decent shift for Gordon Wild here this evening.
Jorge will give and go, but put it behind Watson. Higashi with the score tonight for the Battery, set up by Guerra. And then Mwape tied it moments ago with a beautiful finesse shot.
Keep an eye on Javon Watson on the top of your screen as well, just gingerly coming up out of that last run, slowly making his way back into the defensive third.
Jake Arman applauded by the Charlotte crowd. As we are coming up to the 86th minute, the Independents have tied this game, stunning the Battery, who felt very comfortable with their 1-0 lead. Donnie Smith and Foster moving it around. Jung-Soo Lee and the backwood Duckett. Here comes Kai. And down on the turf after that tackle is Rittmeyer. Nico's okay. Kuzminski sends it down the near side. Jake Arman, fresh legs off of the bench. Mwape tried to control that pass.
See, it got away from him a little bit. Referee just playing possession, late challenge on Foster, and they're going to bring it back and give the Independents an opportunity. Go the other direction now. A few moments left. A lot of energy from the Independents here. Fast few minutes. Obviously coming off the goal, but you can just see the overall crispness of their play has been much better. 1-2 touch passing in and out of the passing lanes.
Beautiful pass by Mwape. Kind of a late whistle as Herrera argues the call. A free kick upcoming for the Battery. That was Angelo Kelly down on the turf. Well, the Battery hasn't been in their final third in a while. Pokes it through Okonkwo, but he was offsides. A yellow card served to Jorge on that takedown.
Was about to say I was shocked he didn't end up in the book, as there was 2-3 fouls right away in front of Rubiel Vasquez. Obviously forcing the referee's hand, having to go to the yellow card in that situation. Nice tackle.
Physical play from Guerra. Both players shaken up. Tula and Donnie Smith.
Tula Guerra throwing that big frame around closing minutes of this game on Donnie Smith, who is, needless to say, a little bit smaller in stature.
Guerra, they listed 6'1", 170. And Taylor Mueller also shaken up earlier in this game. The Iron Man able to stay in the match. It'll be 5 minutes of stoppage, so plenty of time for both teams to try to get that winning goal. Foster has been quick here in the second half. Good touch looking for Mwampe. Javon Watson. George reverses field. Harmon looking for a gap. Watson, that will be too far for any of his teammates. Rittmeyer being challenged by Herrera. The pressure is on in the backfield. Now Duckett trying to shake off it. Being hit in the head. There's the 5 minutes of stoppage. What do you see here in the final 5 minutes, Devin?
You're an Independence fan. You'd like to see that energy carry over here. Unfortunately, it's a little standoffish past 2-3 minutes. Battery responding appropriately, pushing the line a little bit higher. Inhauser understanding the opportunity for the Independents to get back into this match. Haven't really seen much from Nico Rittmeyer in his substitution, but again, they decided to step back a little bit further. Just hate to think of it as another missed opportunity for the Charlotte Independents, but you got to remember this. Through everything that we've seen, they're still in an opportunity to gain points in 5 out of their last 6 matches, and that's all against opponents in the middle to upper part of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they're getting the job done. Onunga. Long ball in the air will be seized by Dykstra. Charlotte returning from the 4-game road trip where they went 2-1-1. 2-1-1 on a 4-game road trip would pretty much make any coach happy.
Then you come home and deal with, although it's the quote-unquote number 7 team in the Eastern Conference, they're 1 point off, so you're pretty much dealing with someone very similar. You're able to get a point out of that. So that's not the worst response. Again, unfortunately, not really having a lot of home games here recently. But you get a point here, you go on the road, you steal something at Richmond, and then you come right back home and have to deal with the Rowdies, who have shaken things up to say the least. So Rowdies don't really have the best reputation on the road, even with the change of Neil Collins going to the helm. So we'll see what happens over the next few weeks for the Independents.
Bilal Duckett with a nice takeaway. Here's Mwampe, who changed the pace of this game with his energy, quickness, and putting a beautifully placed goal in the corner of the net to tie it. Foster. That touch pass doesn't get through. Thomas is there. And good aggressive play by Zaid to make Thomas give it up. Just about 2 minutes remain in this one. This would be the 3rd draw in the Southern Derby, the history of the Southern Derby. Lee. Mwampe. Playing a 2-man game with Herrera there. Battery solid defensively. Collision in the air. will go against the battery in Okonkwo. Donnie Smith from Matthews, North Carolina. Local hero. Can he play that role here in the final minute? Well, Charlotte dominating with time of possession here in the second stanza. There's Donnie. About 30 seconds. Wape plays it in and deflected by Kuzminski. Duckett all the way up on the offensive end. Higachi able to escape two defenders as Katero carries it to midfield. And that is it, the whistle blows. Outstanding competitive battle, not surprisingly. Here in the Battle of the Carolinas, the Southern Derby ends in a draw for the third time in the history of this matchup. As we end in a 1-1 tie. We're going to look at the Wells Fargo save of the game in a moment as the crowd will hang around for the fireworks show after being treated to a terrific match. Higashi, he had the goal for the battery that came in the first half off a superb pass and set up from Guerra. But Charlotte really able to dominate play in the second half, Devin.
And you saw it go back and forth, and here's that save you're talking about. And it's a good ball in from Foster to the back post. Amon talked about it in the early first half. Does a good job positioning himself, but you can see he's just got his momentum going backwards, and it's easy pickings for Joe Kuzminski. This thing is still going to find its way to the back of the net most likely, but a good save nonetheless by the goalkeeper.
And that was our Wells Fargo save of the game. Jack's Militia applauding their team and waiting the fireworks show. As this one ends in a 1-all draw. So for my partner Davin Kerr, I'm Ari Shannock. Thanks for watching, and so long from Charlotte.
Oh, I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
And there is your final score. The fireworks show has started. So the fans being treated to an excellent match here at the Sportsplex at Matthews Stadium, and a fantastic fireworks show. What a treat this is. As you look at the match stats Possession time. Big in the second half for the Independents.
You see it ended up at 63% overall for Charlotte, but you carry 72% possession, 72% in the second half, and you only have 2 shots on goal. There's a problem there. And Mike Jeffries knows that when they've gotten down there, they've kind of lacked that artistic expression that really hasn't come to fruition that we saw last year. But still, you got to learn and find a way to connect the dots a little bit better, especially when you come home. They've shown that they've been able to get results and they don't give up losses, but you also want to take advantage of the opportunity to get 3 points. It's so difficult on the road. Don't make it harder at home.
So they get the point. They salvage the point on a Milwaukee goal. So we take a look at the highlights in this one. Early on, it was the Battery with the chances. And look at Guerra. What a pass.
Smart in transition. Started with the interchanging play, and this is really what you saw from the Battery all night long. They kind of toned it down in the second half, but Guerra just recognizing everything that's moving around him, constant variables changing. The Independents not able to pick that up, and they got out to an early lead, and they controlled most of this match. There's an even better look. Unfortunately for Donnie Smith, just gets caught out a little bit. Now he's on the left-hand side of the pitch, but he's got to tuck in and stay tight when the ball's on the other side. The Independents would rally a little bit in the second half and have a few responses here and there, and this was the one that found the back of the net. Mwape trying to pick out someone on the far post. Just picks out the far post in general, able to beat Joe Kuzminski to knot things up and break the deadlock. Fortunately enough, able to escape with a point.
And Mwape puts a charge in this team. Look at that flip from Mutaya, his first goal of the season. Enzo Martinez was here tonight. They retired his jersey. And what a performer he was for the Independents. Now this one ends in a draw of 1-1. Higashi and Mwape, the goals for each side. From our partner Devin Kerr, I'm Ari Shannock. Thanks for joining us. So long from Charlotte.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.